Welcome to the Iconics BizViz video guide. This video discusses how to enable and use the transaction tracing for tasks and transactions. It also discusses how to view the detailed output of the tracing.
In BridgeWorX, you can create very complex transactions that manipulate your data. This transaction can write data to a database or maybe to an OPC tag, and sometimes, unfortunately, it may happen that the output is not what you expect. Luckily, BridgeWorX allows you to trace the execution of your transactions, so you can later analyze what is going on with your transaction and if there were any problem during the execution. To enable the trace level, you have to act both at the transaction level and at the diagram level. So let's analyze the diagram first, and we will use the recipes diagram, which is part of the examples delivered with the product. So I open the diagram designer, and I can see my transaction here. I will not go into details of what this transaction does. However, what I need to check in this diagram is if each of these data block has the tracing enabled. You can enable tracing by changing the value of this drop-down dialog here in the tracing box. So if I expand this, you can see that I have three options. The first one is known if you don't want to trace this block, the execution of this block. Task only will show some summary information only, while task and each data mapping step option is the most comprehensive set of tracing information available. So this data block already has this selected, and that's okay. I can also check the other ones, but I know that they are already set to the value that I want. So make sure that you have these options selected for each data block that you want to monitor. When you're done, you can close your diagram. At the transaction level, what you need to do is to open the advanced mode and check that under options you have the enable transaction tracing option enabled. So what you can do is, for example, to prepare a diagram with all the tracing enabled, but then when you know that your execution is well tested and working fine, you disable the transaction tracing here to have better performances. So everything is all set for me to check the tracing of the transaction, so I will execute it now. Okay, the system informed me that it has been submitted for execution, so I will now open the web interface using this button to visualize my transactions. The unified web interface opens, and as you can see, I have the list of the executed transactions. If you don't get this list automatically, you may need to expand the tree first and then click on the standalone folder. I already had it selected because it was the last folder I browsed to. So as you can see here, this is the last transaction that I have executed, and to analyze what is going on with its execution, in this case it completed successfully, but let's suppose that I had some issues running it, I can right click on it and select View Execution Log. This will open another window with the detail of the execution of this transaction. So as you can see, I can follow the path of the execution down here, and I can see which data block has been executed and in which sequence. If I click on each of them, there will be additional information shown just beside the list of tasks. So for example, I have clicked on this first task, and now here I can see when it started executing, how long it lasted, and all the data mapping details down here. I also have the data connector details, for which I can show additional information. I can see what was the query executed on this database, and I can also see the destination of the data. So I really have a lot of details for this single data block, the first one, and this can help me to understand where the eventual problem may be. If I click on the second one, I will have a different set of information because this is a different task that has been executed, and I can go on to see the information about all the others. So in this way, by using this feature, you can understand if there is any problem in your transaction, where is the problem. Maybe, for example, a SQL query is wrong and BridgeWorX is not able to get any data out of the database. And in this case, the transaction is quite simple, but if you have like 20 execution tasks to run, then it may easily become very complex to understand what is going on. Using this tracing tool, you will be able to understand what is actually going on in each single execution of your transactions.